Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh, coming up in the next 30 minutes. Iran says it is no longer bound by restrictions on nuclear program as the 2015 deal with world powers officially expires. Union Minister spotlight positive impact of historic GST reforms for masses, highlight that consumption will increase more than 10% this year due to the reforms. And markets glitter with Dhanteras festivities. Assam celebrates harvest festival Kati Bihu. Iran said on Saturday it no longer is bound by restrictions on its nuclear program as the 2015 nuclear deal with world powers officially expired. The deal, which capped the uranium enrichment and subjected Iran's nuclear activities to UN oversight in exchange for sanctions relief, has been effectively defunct since the US withdrew in 2018. Tehran reiterated its commitment to diplomacy but criticized European nations for undermining the recent talks. The move follows the reimposition of UN sanctions and rising tensions over Iran's enriched uranium levels, which far exceed limits for civilian use. Last month, Britain, France and Germany triggered the UN snapback mechanism, reinstating sanctions and effectively nullifying the deal. While talks with US and Europe remain stalled, experts say the deal's collapse may open space for new diplomatic efforts, though risks of escalation remain high. In Afghanistan, at least 10 civilians were killed and a dozen more were injured last night after Pakistan launched airstrikes on border province of Paktika, breaking a ceasefire that had brought 2 days of calm to the border. The 48-hour truce paused nearly a week of border clashes that killed dozens of troops and civilians on both sides. A senior Taliban official said Pakistan broke the ceasefire and bombed 3 locations in Paktika province. The official said Afghanistan will retaliate. Among the dead include at least 3 local cricket players. The killing of 3 cricketers prompted Afghanistan to pull out of a tri-nation series with Pakistan and Sri Lanka scheduled for next month. Afghanistan's cricket board, in a social media post, said players had travelled to Paktika province to take part in a friendly match. Qatar, which along with Saudi Arabia had pushed both sides to halt hostilities, offered to host their meeting in Doha. Reports from Afghanistan suggest Taliban delegation would include Defence Minister Mullah Yaqub Mujahid and Intelligence Chief Mullah Wasik. Pakistan's Foreign Office stayed silent on the matter, but a late evening meeting between National Security Advisor and ISI Chief Lieutenant General Asim Malik and Foreign Minister Ishaq Dar suggested that General Malik may travel to Doha. Afghanistan and Pakistan are set to hold peace talks in Doha on Saturday following renewed border clashes and a fragile ceasefire. A high-level Afghan delegation led by Defence Minister Mullah Muhammad Yaqub has departed for Qatar, confirmed by Afghan spokesperson Zabillah Mujahid. From the Pakistan side, Defence Minister Khwaja Asif and Intelligence Chief General Asim Malik are attending the talks as announced by Pakistan state television. A Pakistani delegation was already in Qatari capital on Friday for the talks, was to be joined by more senior officials. In other developments, in a cordial White House meeting, US President Donald Trump pressed Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky to pursue peace with Russia, advocating for an immediate ceasefire at current battle lines before his upcoming Budapest meeting with Putin. Zelensky's push for Tomahawk missiles met Trump's emphasis on mediation, overshadowing their productive 2-hour talk on security guarantees. More in this report.
US President Donald Trump urged Ukrainian President Zelensky to negotiate peace with Russia on Friday. After a cordial White House meeting, Donald Trump pushed for an immediate ceasefire, even at current battle lines, ahead of his planned talks with Putin in Budapest. In a 2-hour meeting described by both as cordial and productive, Zelensky pressed for the long-range weapons to strike deep into Russian territory, arguing they would apply constant pressure on Moscow's war machine. Trump's move to re-engage with Putin has frustrated Zelensky and some European allies in the past. It has cast a shadow on Trump's otherwise cordial exchange with his Ukrainian counterpart.
Well, let's see what happens. I mean, what if? I think he will. I think that President Putin wants to end the war, or I wouldn't be talking this way. I think he wants to end the war. I spoke to him yesterday for 2.5 hours. We went through a lot of details. He wants to get it ended. I think that President Zelensky wants to get it ended. Now we have to get it done.
Outside the White House, Zelensky called his meeting with Trump productive and said they discussed security guarantees.
We trust United States. We trust President that he wants to finish this war, and it's difficult. It's very tough solution. It's understandable why. I think that Russians afraid about tomahawks, really afraid because it's a strong weapon, and they know what we have, what kind of weapon we have, our production, and they understand that combination with tomahawks, because we speak about it. We don't speak about tomahawks like tomahawks. We need combination. And that's why they're afraid of this combination. They understand what we can do.
Meanwhile, on Truth Social, Trump urged both sides to stop the killing and make a deal, adding enough blood has been shed, let both claim victory, let history decide. The session cast a shadow from Trump's planned Budapest summit, with Putin in 2 week separate meetings, as these two leaders do not like each other. While US President did not rule out giving the long-range Tomahawk missiles as sought by Zelensky, Trump did appear cool to the prospect as he looked forward to a meeting with Putin in Hungary in the coming weeks.
Tomahawks are very dangerous weapons. They're incredible weapons. If you like warfare, it's one of the most accurate. We hit 30 Tomahawks in Iran after the B-2s did their damage. We sort of gave it a little capper with 30 Tomahawks from a submarine, quite far away, actually. But they're an amazing weapon. They're a very powerful weapon, but they're a very dangerous weapon.
Zelensky, realistic about escalation risks, has agreed to keep missile talks private and prioritized air defenses and joint weapons production. He later hailed a productive call with European leaders, including UK PM Keir Starmer and Finland's Alexander Stubb, reaffirming support for security guarantees and a ceasefire. Bureau Report, DD India.
Thousands across the United States are set to join No Kings protest happening this Saturday, opposing President Donald Trump's leadership amid an ongoing government shutdown. With over 2,700 rallies planned nationwide, organizers claim it to be the largest mobilization since Trump assumed office. Beyond New York, San Francisco, protests feature not only major cities like Washington, Boston, Chicago, Atlanta, and New Orleans, but also small towns across all 50 states. The No Kings movement is even organizing events in Canada. The protests aim to challenge what they see as authoritarian moves, including crackdowns on free speech and aggressive immigration raids. On the other hand, Republicans have labeled the events as Hate America rallies. The ongoing government shutdown, now in its third week, has halted federal services and intensified tensions between the executive branch, Congress, and the courts. China and the United States agreed on Saturday to conduct another round of trade negotiations in the coming week as the world's two biggest economies seek to avoid another damaging tit-for-tat tariff battle. Beijing last week announced sweeping controls on critical rare earths industry, prompting US President Trump to threaten 100% tariffs on imports from China in retaliation. Trump had also threatened to cancel his expected meeting with Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping in South Korea later this month on the sidelines of the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Summit. In the latest indication of efforts to resolve their dispute, Chinese state media reported that Vice Premier He Lifeng and US Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent had candid, in-depth and constructive exchanges during a Saturday morning call. and that both sides agreed to hold a new round of trade talks as soon as possible. On social media, Besant described the call as frank and detailed, said that they would meet in person next week to continue the discussions. A UAE humanitarian ship has departed for Gaza carrying 7,200 tons of aid under Operation Chivalrous Night 3. The shipment includes 4,680 tons of food, 2,160 tons of shelter items like tents and winter clothing, and 360 tons of medical supplies, along with additional 4 water tanks. The relief effort has been directed by the President of UAE with the aim to ease the suffering of people in the Gaza Strip. UAE charities and aid groups too have come together to deliver urgent support, reinforcing the nation's values of solidarity and swift response. Let's now take a look at other stories making news around the world. Britain's Prince Andrew, the younger brother of King Charles and second son of late Queen Elizabeth, said on Friday that he would give up using his title of Duke of York following years of criticism about his behavior and connections to late US sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Hawaii's Kilauea volcano in the United States continued to emit lava from its crater on Friday after erupting a day earlier. The volcano is one of the world's most active and has been erupting periodically since December last year. In Lodi, California, grape growers who have supported the wine industry for over a century are now struggling. Rising costs, falling demand and cheaper imports are forcing some to abandon their vineyards, threatening the region's winemaking legacy. In New York, rising global coffee bean prices from key suppliers like Brazil and Vietnam are driving up costs for local cafes. As a result, customers are becoming more cautious with their spending, often reserving their pricey $10 lattes for special occasions, reflecting the wider impact of international market shifts on everyday coffee lovers. And still to come on this edition of DD India Live. India's Defence Minister Rajnath Singh flags off the first batch of indigenously made BrahMos missiles. And a sweet shop in Jaipur unveils India's costliest sweet ahead of Diwali, priced at over 1 lakh rupees per kilo.
There's so many invaluable artifacts that the British have taken from our country. They robbed us of our self-respect. They robbed us of our honor. Loot was never innocent. It was painful.
The word loot, that was stolen from India too.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh. In a landmark moment for India's defence capabilities, Defence Minister Rajnath Singh on Saturday flagged off the first batch of BrahMos missiles at the BrahMos Aerospace Production Unit in Uttar Pradesh's Lucknow under Atmanirbhar Bharat mission. Minister Singh hailed the missiles as a symbol of India's growing self-reliance under Atmanirbhar Bharat initiative. He said the production facility in Lucknow will manufacture 100 missiles, which have become the backbone of the armed forces, and supply them to the Indian Army and Navy. Designed jointly by India's DRDO and Russia's NPO, BrahMos played a crucial role during Operation Sindoor following the Pahalgam attack.
BrahMos टीम ने गत 1 महीने के भीतर 2 देशों के साथ लगभग 4,000 करोड़ रुपए के अनुबंधों पर हस्ताक्षर किए। आने वाले वर्षों में हम कई देशों के विशेषज्ञों को लखनऊ आते हुए अपनी आंखों से देखेंगे, जो लखनऊ को ज्ञान का केंद्र और डिफेंस टेक्नोलॉजी में अग्रणी बनाएगा। ब्रह्मोस की लखनऊ इकाई का टर्नओवर अगले वित्तीय वर्ष से करीब 3,000 करोड़ रुपए हो जाएंगे और जीएसटी का कलेक्शन 500 करोड़ हो जाएगा प्रतिवर्ष का।
Defence Minister was accompanied by Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath. They planted a sapling in the premises of BrahMos Aerospace Unit and also inaugurated the booster and warhead building. Defence Minister also inaugurated the booster and warhead building and received the GST bill for missiles produced locally, handed over by DRDO Chief Samir Kamath and BrahMos Director General J.R. Joshi. He witnessed a virtual BrahMos strike executed via Indian Air Force's Sukhoi 30 fighter jet. The Lucknow BrahMos unit is the first facility in Uttar Pradesh Defence Corridor where the entire process from missile system manufacturing to final testing is carried out indigenously. The unit is built at a cost of 300 crore rupees spread across 80 hectares. Moving on, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman, Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal and INB Minister Ashwani Vaishnav address a joint press conference in New Delhi on Saturday on the occasion of Dhanteras, spotlighting the ongoing GST Bachat Utsav, a nationwide saving festival launched on September 22nd amid the festivities of Navratri. Branded as the next generation GST 2.0, the reform slashed rates on essentials like kitchenware, clothing, television, fridge, scooter and cars from 12 to 28% slabs to 5% and 18%, injecting about 2 lakh crore rupees into households and boosting festive consumption. Addressing the media, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman said tax benefits due to recent GST rate cuts were passed on to the masses.
So you know, from 12 to 5, the rate reduction has happened. And from 28 to 18, rate reduction has happened on largely most of the goods. But in some cases, 1 or 2 went this way or that way. But 54 such daily use items we've been closely monitoring. Not in one has the tax not been, the benefit has not been passed. Not even in one item, the input that we've received from all the zones has the tax benefit not been passed to the consumer. We are convinced that on every such item, the benefits are being passed on to the consumer.
Union Information Broadcasting Minister Ashwani Vaishnav highlighted the consumption will increase more than 10% this year due to these GST reforms.
Manufacturing is now growing at a double-digit CAGR. Very rapidly it is expanding, and today electronics manufacturing is giving employment to about 25 lakh persons directly. India has surpassed our neighbor in supplying, in exporting smartphones to United States. Because of the GST reforms, consumption will be significantly increasing, and quite likely, it's very likely that the consumption will increase more than 10% this year.
Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal highlighted the growth trajectory of India in the past months.
Even in August 25, after the Honorable Prime Minister announced that from Diwali you will have lower GST on almost every item, despite that our August trade in goods and services was 9.1% higher. And this demonstrates that India is resilient, India has clarity in its vision, and India continues to purchase goods and enjoy the fruits of services. The growth trend continued in the rest of the August month. In the month of September, the outward FPI fell straight away from 4 billion to less than 900 million. This clearly shows that the world also and investors from across the world could quickly see that this is a huge upswing in India's growth story.
In other news, Jammu and Kashmir Lieutenant Governor Manoj Sinha is in Russia leading an Indian delegation tasked with bringing back the sacred relics of Lord Buddha. The relics are currently on display at an international exhibition in Russian Republic of Kalmykia. The week-long exposition, which concludes today, is being held in Elista, the capital of Kalmykia, Europe's only Buddhist majority region. The relics are part of Pirava collection housed at the National Museum in New Delhi. The relics were transported to Russia with full religious sanctity aboard a special Indian Air Force aircraft, accompanied by a delegation of senior Buddhist monks and officials. The week-long cultural program also included a special exhibition tracing the historical journey of Buddha's relics. A major fire broke out in the cargo area of Dhaka's Hazrat Shahjalal International Airport today, forcing a full suspension of flight operations. According to fire services and civil defense of Bangladesh, a total of 32 firefighting units, including teams from the Air Force, Civil Aviation Authority, were deployed to the scene, with 14 units already engaged and 18 more en route. All aircraft are confirmed safe, but the cause of the fire and extent of damage remains unknown. Emergency crew are working hard to contain the blaze and flights are on hold until further notice. Dhanteras celebrates the arrival of goddess Lakshmi and Lord Kuber for wealth and Lord Dhanvantari for health, marking the start of the Diwali festivities. The day is also marked by ritualistic lighting of lamps to ward off darkness and evil, symbolizing the victory of good over evil.
Dhanteras marks the beginning of the 5-day Diwali celebration, setting a joyful mood. On this day, devotees worship Lord Dhanvantari, the deity of Ayurveda, and goddess Lakshmi, the harbinger of wealth and fortune. Dhan means wealth and Teras refers to the 13th day. The day is observed on the 13th lunar day of Krishna Paksha in the Hindu calendar every year. Considered highly auspicious, Dhanteras is a popular day to buy gold, silver, utensils, and even electronics to invite prosperity. People worship goddess Lakshmi and Lord Kuber, both symbols of wealth. Tradition holds that making significant purchases on this day brings good fortune and blessings in matters of finance and abundance. Lamps are lit to represent light over darkness and to keep away negative energies, including Yama, the god of death. The day is also seen as a time for cleansing homes, hearts, and minds, creating a pure space for the joy and brilliance of Diwali to enter and flourish. A popular tale linked to Dhanteras is the ocean churning, from which Lord Dhanvantari emerged with nectar and goddess Lakshmi appeared, blessing the world with wealth. Another story speaks of a wise bride who saved her husband's life from a snake bite by placing gold, silver, and lamps at the door, keeping Yama distracted all night with songs and stories. Since then, Dhanteras has been cherished as one of the most blessed days. May this Dhanteras bring you new aspirations, renewed hopes, unexplored paths, and bright beginnings. Wishing you and your loved ones joy, surprises, and everything radiant and wonderful. Happy Dhanteras. Bureau Report, DD India.
And Mumbai witnessed bustling markets and jewellery stores as people flocked to buy gold, silver and other precious metals on the occasion of Dhanteras, marking the first day of Diwali celebrations. The city's atmosphere brimmed with excitement, festive spirit as shoppers sought auspicious purchases to usher in prosperity. With glittering displays and vibrant decorations, Mumbai's markets reflected the joy and anticipation that accompany the start of the Diwali festivities.
Well, it's that time of the year when the entire city, along with the state, is shining. Yes, it's Dhanteras, the first day of Diwali, and people at Zaveri Bazaar, which is popular for purchasing the precious metals.
Today being auspicious day, Dhanteras, people buy bullion jewellery, coin and silver jewellery. So for them it is a very good. We have seen at the shop, I came at 9 o'clock. I have seen the customer at this time.
The shift has happened, and even the younger generation is now investing in gold, because we've seen with the geopolitical shifts or the tensions, the gold prices are rising. What are you buying this Dhanteras, and what is the significance of buying today?
I'm buying a gold chain because it's Dhanteras and you should buy something in gold. It's auspicious and it's counted as luck. Buy something in wealth to increase your wealth.
Dhanteras says to be very good and auspicious day to buy gold for your good luck, for your Diwali, welcoming Mata at your place and Lakshmi. Basically, when you buy gold, you invite Lakshmi to your house.
Younger generation especially are now wanting to buy bullion because they see it as a form of investment, and that is why a major buying is seen today. With camera person Kapil Maske, this is Shyama Mishra for DD India, Mumbai.
As Dhanteras celebrations dawn upon the Pink City, Jaipur, the air glitters with more than just diyas and fireworks. In the bustling lanes of Johari Bazaar, a new delicacy is rising, one that melts on your tongue but costs more than gold. You heard that right. Meet Swan Bhasm Pak and Chandi Bhasm Pak, Rajasthan's most luxurious sweets, crafted not just for the palate but for prestige as well. Priced between 45,000 rupees to over a lakh per kilogram, these are no ordinary sweets. The masterpieces reflect the legacy of Rajasthan, a blend of royalty, tradition and modern-day indulgence. Assam is celebrating Kati Bihu, also known as Kangali Bihu. It signifies the end of the sowing season and the beginning of the harvest period, focusing on prayers of good yield and symbolizing hope during a time when farmers' granaries are often empty. Key rituals include lighting lamps in fields, homes, in front of sacred Tulsi plant, and engaging in community gatherings. India's Home Minister Amit Shah, in a social media post on X, says, and I quote, "On the occasion of Kati Bihu, I pray for the well-being and prosperity of all my sisters and brothers of Assam. May this festival brings happiness, abundance into everyone's lives." And that's all for this edition of DD India Live. Let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan this QR code on your screen to download now. And we'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live. Namaskar.